It's actually showing our video. Yep, we're live. So when you're done, just click end stream.
Okay.
And you can just move
Point
the
it.
camera as you need
Okay.
to. But there, so it was your browser. I downloaded a bunch of stuff you didn't need.
If anyone
because
needs
all you needed
anything
to do is
computer
change your
oriented,
browser.
this is a genius. I'm just saying.
Thanks for letting me fumble around.
You did a beautiful job. Thank you so much.
I'm just gonna try and sneak behind.
And she has very cute sandals on too
Yeah.
while she's working. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We look so official. All right, well.
Nothing to embarrass Phil.
Huh, Phil, you look good on camera.
Yeah, I'm just doing my
So,
due diligence.
I'm going to call the meeting to order at 12:02, the June board meeting for the Hudson Development Corp. I'd like to point out that we are, as of a minute ago, live streaming our meetings, which is now required by New York State. We will be live streaming, recording them, and then we'll be archiving them on our website so people can review them going forward. We are required to keep them up there for 2 years, so you can see yourself 2 years from now in the webcam. It also allows people to join remotely. So on our website, we will, when we announce the meeting a week before the meeting, we will put the link to the live streaming in the website so people who can't make it to the meeting can come. So that's that. This meeting has got a lot of housekeeping and some big thinking. So we're going to move along. We have quite a lot on our agenda. A lot happened this month. In front of you, you'll find 2 documents that are ABO required. One is they're supposed to be done at our yearly meeting, which we didn't do them, but one is the acknowledgement of fiduciary duties and responsibilities. You read that, you sign that, print your name, and put HDC on there. That's our authority name. And then the other document under that is a checklist of confidential evaluation of the board's performance. You don't sign your name on that one. And so if you would just do those 2, and then as you leave, put them in the folder that's over there. I won't be reading them knowing who they came from. So thank you for doing that. And then we will be able to check this box on our ABO filing.
Because you want this back to Dave.
Oh yeah, in that little folder over there.
Okay.
Usually there was someone like Brandon to collect them, but we're putting them in the folder, just like voting. Okay, that is that. So can I have a motion to accept the minutes from our May meeting? Okay, Pete Schramm first, second. Second, Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are ratified. Thank you, Jan. Very good minutes. And I want to just do a brief overview of what happened in June. As you know, Misty left. And we were talking about using Nathan as our ABO consultant to formalize our ABO filing into Paris. Nathan had a family issue and was unable to think about it. So I went back into the files and got in touch with a law firm. I think we spoke about that. Julie, maybe it was the executive committee, and found a law firm that does ABO compliance law. And also she is not a lawyer. The woman they put forward, Julie Marshall, her name is, she is a ABO Paris expert. And so she had a conference call with us and, got us on track. That happened. That was very good. The second is we had the chance to meet with various board members, all of you actually, to share the Hudson Hub ideas that we had been thinking about for the last month and a half. And that was very useful to see each of you's individual reactions. And we're going to talk about that a little more in our meeting today. And third, there was another business roundtable. Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, I guess it is. Business roundtable, Tammy Dillon. It was a very small one. Usually there have been at least 10 or 12 people, but Tammy Dillon, Rich Volo, and 2 HBCI board members were there. And Tammy, the meeting mostly was about Tammy's encouraging business to get involved more in Winter Walk. It's been 25 years, and she would like to be more collaborative with that event and bring into the loop some of the businesses. And they talked a lot about that. Also, she shared with us that the Jazz Festival was a big success. It was in February, and the hurdles of that are, they want to keep growing it, but the hurdles of that are they have to start promoting it in November, and in December, they have to stop because it's all about the holidays and Winter Walk, and then it has to, promote back up. They can't get people to buy tickets in December and some part of January. And also the threat of a snowstorm that could end the whole thing in February is just, they put a lot of money into it, and then people can't get there or they can't travel. So she's suggesting that they might like to move it to September. And the people that were in this meeting thought that was a great idea because the first 2 weeks of September, things kind of go back to school, back to work, back to business as usual. But the last 2 weeks of September might be great. They haven't pinned it down there, but the other people in the meeting said they would like to collaborate a little more about that. So that was a very lively conversation, and I think it was good. And fourth, Nick was able to install the AC split up in the office, and it works. Thank you, Nick. Although I was in there yesterday, and it was a little hot, but I think you have to turn it on for a long time.
And turn both of them on.
I did.
Okay.
All right. We'll get to that later. And lastly, Paul Barrett has been working. Some of you have put forward grant writer names. Martha and Bill have worked on that a little bit. And anyone else who might have a grant writer that they've worked with or had found successful, we would love to know the name of that person. Paul is doing some research on them and getting in touch with them so that we can begin to have a pool of people that we could get to write for us. And I think it
Yeah, some of them recommended, and I just studied the 2 more names from the
Great.
warehouse.
Oh, good. Terrific. Okay. So that's kind of my report, what I've been up to this month. And I think I would like to move it over to Phil for the treasurer's report.
I'll start with stuff that got done, and we'll take a look at the income statement and balance sheet. The board asked, and we moved forward with a shift in our investment portfolio and put a significant share in laddered CDs distributed across 5 different banks or similar institutions that allow all that money to be FDIC insured. So at this point, a significant part of our portfolio is in that vehicle and it is insured. The income statements and balance sheet were distributed electronically. I'm going to try to get them out a little bit earlier, but they did go out as in my judgment, but you folks can comment as you wish. There are no surprises or significant changes. There are some bits of housekeeping that aren't done yet. The $10,000 from the Batacola Foundation is still on the books, and it just requires me getting over to the police station. And they've never requested or whatever. We did send a note to the chief a while back, but I want to get that off our books.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get that done. We will get that done.
Maybe with the chief transition that got lost in the shuffle.
And whatever, it's no big deal,
Okay.
but I don't want to carry it any further, and I'd like to close down that item. And that was a donation from the Batacolas for the what was identified as the police garden program.
Yes.
So I'll get that moved over. That's really it. I don't see any other significant changes from any of the previous budgets, and I would ask the board to approve the income statement and balance sheet as presented.
Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make that motion.
Paul, first, second. Nick, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So
Oh, one more thing.
I
'cause
thought you
forgot.
had one more thing.
I did have one.
I'm like waiting for the one
forgot.
more shoe.
We set up a finance committee a while back, which is Martha, John, and myself. I'm super pleased to have them for all kinds of obvious reasons, domain knowledge and basic smarts. We've been working and continue to move forward on a financial investment policy, which is mandated by ABO. It's not cut and paste. We need to study this a little bit, which we have been doing. Chris mentioned the law firm, Beach and whatever in
Beach and
Westchester.
Bartolo. No, that's not it.
No, but they've been advising us, and the intention is that our finance committee is going to meet as many times as it takes to be able to present to the board a proposed financial policy that's been vetted by the attorneys and by our auditors, and that the three of us feel proud to present. So that's going to go forward.
And that won't be long coming. That's underway.
It's not that it's long coming. We're an interesting entity in having both a private and public face.
Right.
And that impacts on what we can do with what funds and so on. And the lawyers are going to guide us through that. But I don't see why we wouldn't be ready to make a presentation in the next meeting.
Okay, that's great. That would be great. Okay, any other financial questions at this time? No? Okay, let's go to item 5 on the agenda, the ABO compliance for the Paris filing. Paris is the name of the engine that ABO has to upload all the information on organizations like ours. It's required to be done by the first part of the year in time. Usually we have done it in time for our board meeting, but this year we had a bit of a learning curve, so it took us a little time to get that done. As I said, I reached out to this woman, Julie Marshall. She was really great. We had a conference call with Martha was on the call, and Phil and Susan Van Tassel, our bookkeeper. And it's really a matter of collecting all of the documents that need to be collected for input more than coming up with them. We had 2 documents that we needed to come up with that we went through old minutes. One is a report on our success last year, what we did, what we accomplished, what we felt were our accomplishments. And the other was how we operate, which is just a description of, we have monthly board meetings and when we, have the opportunity to speak openly in the board meeting. And so we created those documents. The auditors provided our approved audited numbers, and the board was, I confirmed board members' start dates and expiration dates. And basically it was not as hard. I mean, I didn't do the work, but basically it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, which is very much a relief. So we have, they presented a draft of it to us and the executive committee reviewed it. I'm happy to let anybody look at it, but what I'd like to do is we're trying to file it by the end of the month so that we're not on the list of people that gets published every year is not in compliance. We don't want to be on that list. So we can upload it by Friday if we could, if you could accept the executive committee's stance on accepting it to file. It includes just these 2 documents, list of the board members, a lot of questions about, how we operate, and one statement of how we operate, and then our financials, which have been, our auditors will upload. So if everyone's okay with that, I can pass it around if you want to have a look at it. Otherwise, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept these so we can file them by the end of the week.
And what is it we're accepting?
The Paris report that was put forward by Julie Marshall.
Can we table the vote till the end of the meeting?
Sure,
and pass that
sure,
around so
absolutely.
people can look
That's
at
a-
it
that's
while
a
we
great
deal with
idea.
other things?
I crossed out Bob Rasner in there because I didn't think he belonged on the board, but he was the executive, he was on the board for part of 2022. So this is just, it's very tiny. I don't know. It's so tiny. So yes, we'll table that till the end. That's good. And we'll move along. I had the good fortune, as did a couple other board members, of meeting with each of you individually to talk about the Hudson Hub idea, which came about in the last 2 months. We've been discussing as individuals and doing some due diligence on the John L. Edwards School. The initial conversation was to talk about moving the city administration into that building and having the whole city under one roof, city offices under one roof. In the process of thinking more about that, we had meetings with Dr. Drummer of Columbia Green Community College and her provost about bringing some educational opportunities over to Hudson and having an offshoot in that school, in revising the school. And they were extremely enthusiastic about that. Some of these are non-degree, they would be non-degree programs, training, all sorts of training and other thinking about how we would use the building. Before we got too far into it, I went back to the HDC charter, which was done in 1976 when I had short hair. No, a long time ago. And I was, I was very interested. You can find our charter on our website, by the way. There's a link there, and if you want to go read the charter, it's done with a typewriter, which is fun to look at. There's 2 articles that sort of jumped out at me. One is Article 3. It deals with bettering and maintaining job opportunities, promoting instruction and training of Hudsonians to increase their capabilities for job readiness and employment. And that's kind of the thinking for part of the use of that building would be for these kinds of things. And further, Article 4 gives HDC the powers to construct, acquire, rehabilitate, and improve industrial, commercial, or other buildings within Hudson for other uses. They said for use by others, but for other uses, I interpreted it. So that was kind of heartening, and it kind of gave me some, encouragement that we should continue thinking about it and talking to people about it. Mona Talbot and Kate Arding are very enthusiastic about some kind of training program. There's a big kitchen in that school, and they're, really would be very enthusiastic about bringing some hospitality related training and education to the building. And they were very enthusiastic about it. Also, we did speak with the Boys and Girls Club a little bit, and there seems to be like squeezing at the seams there, feeling that the older kids and the younger kids, you have to kind of work in a very small space together, and it would be good if they had a little more room so that the older kids could be older kids and the younger kids could be younger kids. And so I think, that would be a very interesting place to put them. There's a huge gymnasium, and there's a boys and girls locker room with blue tile and pink tile, and it's very kid friendly, I would say, because it was a school. We also spoke to some childcare providers. The Hudson Daycare would be very interested in having a facility where, it's kind of already set up in a way that is, useful for kids and learning and classes. So the more people that we talk to about it casually, we're most enthusiastic about collaborating in some way. So the final thing is I looked through all the New York State grants that are available for various things, and there wasn't one idea that we were talking about that doesn't have some sort of funding available were we to write a grant for it. So some asked for the childcare. There's a lot of money for childcare. There's quite a bit of money for repurposing a building and not tearing it down, and upcycling it to a use that it would be appropriate for community use or the town. And so we think that 2 of these things together it is 90,000 square feet of space. It has 1 elevator and 3 floors, and it has a new addition. We did ask for the asbestos report, which is required of school buildings. Every 3 years, they have to give a report on the internal condition of the school. That doesn't include the roof or heating or any of that, but we're in the spaces where education is being given. And we got that report from the law firm in town that has that report, Ginger Benedict. And it really, I had an inspector look at it that Paul and I use for industrial work, and he said it's in very good shape inside. It hasn't been done since it's been closed, so 4 more years have gone by, but no one's been in there really to speak of. So he felt it was really good inside. So we did take a tour of the building with some of those stakeholders that we just mentioned, and I would like us all to go in the building on a tour if we are amenable to that. It's amazing, and it has the biggest fallout shelter you can imagine in the basement, where you know we could put IBM in there and no
When was it
windows.
built?
Huh?
When was it built? 63.
63. And Paul can talk a little bit about the architect.
Whose names just went right out of my head.
Yeah.
But, the city was pretty forward in selecting this team. They were renowned for educational and hospital buildings. And, I've seen, they were in business from like the 40s up until the early 1990s. But, they have been written up in different architectural magazines and everything. And our building here in Hudson is that very slick sort of mid-century modern style, which is kind of what they were known for.
Yeah. So, and beyond that, we have a lot of thinking to do about it. Of course, it's just the early stages of it. This is the first opportunity for us as individuals to meet and talk about it as a board. So my thought would be, I did reach out to the city, as you know, did a feasibility study, and we did share that. You can also find that on the city's website if you're interested in printing it. But they had a plan A and a plan B, and they laid it out. It's pretty interesting how it's laid out. So I called the company that did it in Albany, and Mark Thaler is the principal architect that is still with that firm, and was very happy to hear that I was looking at it. He thought it was in a drawer somewhere. He was like thrilled that I knew what it was. And he would be very interested, if we want him to come down here and meet with us at the board meeting or another meeting, to just share the thinking that went into it when they put it together. And so I think that would be a good thing for us to do. Does anybody feel that that would be helpful?
Absolutely.
No question.
Okay. It's remarkable amount of thinking went into it. So it's very interesting to look at.
It's the study that we all went over when you had your individual meeting.
Yeah. So with that said, I guess what would be good is first, maybe who wants to start a conversation about this, or, any thoughts that you've had since we first talked about it that you wanted to put out there? If nobody has anything concrete to share, then what I'd like us to do is
I'll
to,
just say that.
oh, yeah.
In the best possible scenario, which is what you've been outlining, but even more, it seems to cover so many elements of the ground that what we're all about, in one place, in one big effort to make it all happen. And so, the potential that's there to fulfill our mission with
Yeah.
such a project like this
Yeah.
is incredible.
Thank you.
And the idea of it being collaborative too, collaborative with a bunch of different agencies and stakeholders, not
Mhm.
something it wouldn't be just our lift.
And the price is right.
The price
The
is very
acquisition,
much right.
yeah.
Very right.
That's a tremendous benefit. Still going to require another.
And there is a build it and they will come. I think that the more it becomes that it starts to gel and become a reality, we will see more organizations, perhaps as far-fetched as it might even appear, even the county thinking of coming over. They've had to deal with their Aquawamic situation, but that's in the past for them now. So that's just my hope.
They're lousy neighbors.
But I'm just using them as an example of potential, someone, we have almost 100,000 square feet. We would.
Well, 90 with less
90.
hallways.
Less always, but it's still,
It's a big building.
it's a big building.
Love to see a remote campus for School of Visual Arts,
Yeah.
SCAD.
Absolutely.
We have all sorts of organizations.
Hyde Park with the
would
food
Consider coming.
component,
CIA.
CIA.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different organizations that we should be reaching. I mean, I reached out to Questar because they're our neighbors. We sort of started in a circle around where we live. And they're very interested in talking to us about what we're thinking. So I thought, try to have that meeting before today, but couldn't do it. So yeah, no, I think that, and the financial piece of it is certainly a big question. I hadn't intended, we're not ready to talk about the financial piece today. It's really just still about the big idea. And if you all are still enthusiastic, I think we would like to continue pursuing thoughts on this. And if anybody wants to participate in, coming up with ideas and communicating them to me, I would be happy to have your input. So,
I think for us as the city, that financial piece is the most important. We're obviously interested, that's why 5-6 years ago, we went and started this journey. But I think financially, we just need to know, what would be the contribution from the agency and how would it look as far as all the partnerships?
Can I ask what you meant by that last sentence? How would it look with the partnerships?
Because I know when we spoke with the executive committee, it took the HDC possibly be the lead agency, so I would want to know who would have ownership of the building, how, all of the nuts and bolts.
That's a really, nuts and bolts question.
Yeah.
I think we're flying at a slightly higher at this point, but, nuts and bolts are important. I'm just saying, I thought our conversation was slightly more, we were looking more conceptually.
yeah,
It'll be owned by whoever probably
Can-
takes on the most risk.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So it is, the building is owned by the Hudson City School District, as you know, not by the city.
Yeah.
And the school board would have to vote on whatever idea we have going forward. I have asked Crystal to draw up a memo of understanding, which I would like to give to the school board to give us 6 months to do our due diligence about what we could do and how it would look. And so I'm,
Keen.
huh?
They are keen.
They know about it, and they seem, and Kamal, you might know more because you know more about what's going on in the school board, but do you, in your opinion, do you think that this would be an idea that they could get behind?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
we spoke with them recently
Good.
about this, and they want to upload the building, and they want to see it be a use that could help the community.
Okay. Yeah, because there's two components. One is they need to get it off their books, which I understand the urgency there.
They have a debt.
Yeah, they do. And, but the second piece is, would they be receptive? Do you get the feeling they would be receptive to the idea of it if we could get it off their books? Okay, good. That's good. Any other questions or ideas? Okay. So we will continue to pursue this, and as ideas occur to you, please communicate them to one of us or all of us, or share with each other or something. We would appreciate that. Okay, moving on. We had, in one of our meetings with John, we were talking about microloans, and we were talking about the Hudson Hub idea. We're calling it the Hudson Hub idea, so we get away from calling it the John L. Edwards School. So it's just the idea of a collection of people. John came up with, he just sort of pitched an idea to us about a microloan program, and I asked him if he would consider writing it up and sharing it with us today. So he has done that, and you'll see that little piece of paper that he passed around. I'm going to turn it over to John. Thank you. It's the only document with color on it.
They look like that.
Okay, well, it's not a new idea. I think it's been discussed in this room before, but it hasn't really moved forward. I think from a practical point of view, to enable this board and whoever we eventually hire to understand both loan origination and underwriting and management, so that we can be an effective partner with whatever organization or organizations we need to partner with to do larger business like this. That we could put together, and in this example is a $50,000 pool that can be allocated to a small loan over short periods of time, specifically for businesses in the city that don't have credit history, don't have credit availability. And rather than paying 29% on a credit card, we offer them some way to build an on-ramp for themselves to more established lenders, banks and third-party lenders. My concept, these are all, everything that's on here, numbers-wise, is all hypothetical. And I would assume that we would probably study this a little bit before we would implement it to understand
Yes.
how spread it, how to allocate the different pools. I used a very scientific approach of 33 and a third % to each of the 3 pools. But it does create, in the first year, 25 loans to small businesses. And they could be from 3 to 12 months. So if somebody's going to go bad, now in my examples too, there's no breakage, there's no bad debt. When I worked with the board of Habitat for Humanity, they had 0 bad debt, like 20, 30 more.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they had one family that they divorced and they had to sell the house, but that's what they did. They sold the house, they didn't go bad, and nothing was ever late. We had some clients that were, had to be pushed.
Pushed a little, yeah.
But basically the risk here is very low. And if somebody has absolutely no history, we can just push them into, the bottom, $1,000 loan for 3 months, and let's see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the interest is rather negligible. Now I think I used 8.25%, which is prime today, Bank of America prime.
Mm-hmm.
These are all unsecured loans, obviously. You can see the income is rather meek. In the first year, it's not on this sheet, but I did summarize it. In the first year, there's about $11,000 in total income, because you're turning the loans. They're short-term loans, it's a few months. So $1,000 loan at 3 months is $4,000 in loans a year. I think the interest is like, just under $50.
Yeah. Oh, that's steep.
Yeah, well, it's not cheap. These are not preferred rates. I don't see any benefit to offering anybody a business lower than prime, unless it's secured.
How realistic, though, is $1,000? Are we going to look just at the city
Yes.
proper, or can we expand a little bit? Because if you go up and down Warren Street, there are very few merchants, that would.
I don't think these aren't Warren Street loans.
Well, right.
Yes.
These are entrepreneurs loans.
Yeah. Basement, garage, spare bedroom, kitchen table, dining room table, trying to open up, I need enough money to get certified to do daycare.
So we're gonna need some outreach.
Yes. And that's part of what is going to be a benefit to us, is we're going to be meeting these new entrepreneurs, and a benefit to them, they're going to be meeting us. There's a lot of expertise in the room. There's a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of desire to share that. And so I think that'll be a benefit. And it'll increase, the networking in both directions, because that's how networking works. And that's will strengthen the local economy, I think. I don't think we're going to make a tremendous amount of money. Like I said, in the first year, we'll make about $11,000. In the second, assuming we just take that profit and roll it into the fund, we would generate another $14,000, and then, because of the law of diminishing returns, only a few $1,000s in the third year. But that also assumes no changes. And I don't think that's realistic either. But again, I don't think we should think about this as necessarily a moneymaker. I'm just seeking to avoid expenses on our part. I mean, if you're gonna be making $1,000 loans, you're not gonna charge those people more than $10 to apply. So that's a loss to us of about $90.
Mhm.
Right out of the gate, we'll never make that money back. And the only way that this would be money-making for us at the small end is if we can successfully help these people move up the food chain.
Mhm.
But that's part of the entrepreneurial experience too. And, you know, failure is not a bar to trying again. And failure is not permanent
Right.
in entrepreneurial undertakings. And in fact, I would argue it's much more valuable to fail
Mhm.
at the beginning than to never fail. Because failure always usually one or two things go, in my experience, one or two things go really wrong and a company tanks. And you can actually learn from that because you can identify the one or two things and say, like, I'm not gonna do that again. Whereas when
That
you do
was
things-
not good.
Well, right, when you get everything right, I mean, you just, some things are right, some things are less right. You just maybe never know. So there's more to be learned from failure than success, but, you know, that's tangential. I just think this is something for us, you know, to look at. I think that we should, you know, not do this in a vacuum. We need to do some research. We need to talk to the county economic development folks, and I think, you know, this is also a good time to talk to Bank of Greene County. Apropos of a prior conversation about the hub, I think this is a good time to talk to them about what it would take to buy it, what they would be looking for
Mhm.
in a commercial mortgage. Understanding that this is a not-for-profit undertaking, it's community building and everything else.
Okay.
But that's my own feeling. So, I mean, I'm happy to share this extended spreadsheet with anybody who wants it. I was asked to keep it simple and keep it to a page. That would have been 2 pages. So
Thank you.
That's good, John.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think it's worth noting what it intends to do and what it doesn't do. And we should talk about that. I know that we talked to Pete about loans that were above prime that also play a role potentially in getting somebody started or keeping a business going or preventing a closing of a business that doesn't have to happen. And that is also a service. We talked to Martha a bit about what the county does that has quite a robust loan program.
For many years.
We may find a way of collaborating or partnering with the county. And I'm hoping that while the immediate intent is not Warren Street loans, that's not necessarily off the table. I see folks shutting down for reasons, I don't know what the reasons are, but what if it were in fact for want of a bridge that they couldn't get? And what if it were in fact that we could keep somebody going and thriving and having employees and all the good stuff that's in our mission. So anyway, I think it's great you did this, John.
And as an organization that benefited as a result of the county loaning us money, we're here today because of that. And also to the bridge loan that we were given by someone,
20 years.
Right,
an
generous-
angel, a very
generous
generous
angel.
person. It kept us whole until we were able to do what we did.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it
there's a lot
underscores
of
your-
uncertainty in the economy, at least that's the perception. And, you know, economically, perception's reality, so it's definitely important. And I've seen, and I know a lot of my retail clients have seen, retail level clients see tremendous pullback this year in
Mhm.
business.
I think everyone feels that. Seth?
Yeah, I have a question. And it's an incredibly naive question, and
It's okay.
I'm sure you've thought all through the answer. And you know it.
What a setup.
And there's nothing to worry about, but I just need to hear it so I can be comfortable with it. And so from this totally naive point of view, I say, sounds like we're becoming a bank. Are we allowed to do that?
Yes.
We are.
Okay.
We're not a bank. If we were a bank, we could charge even higher interest than we would if we were not, as not a bank. Right? You and I can only lend money up to 16%. Banks can lend up to whatever somebody's willing to pay.
So we can do this, we can be in that netherworld of not a bank, but loaning money because.
Because it's allowed, it's not prohibited.
And we've done this before.
And-
If
and
it fits our mission.
It's in support of the mission, basically. I think that while the ABO and all that stuff on one level can be incredibly confusing, it's sort of not. The first principle is to focus on your mission. And whether it's a financial activity or any other activity, that's the first question to be asked. Beyond that, we are a kind of interesting kind of entity because we're private. We can make our own financial decisions, and yet we're public facing in terms of reporting to the state on certain things, et cetera. We all just did a deep dive on what that means, working with the Rochester attorneys. And we have the ability to do all kinds of stuff. We can actually issue bonds. We can issue private notes. We were invented as an entity, not just us, to do things quickly in service of the community and have pretty broad parameters in what we do. As long as we stay on mission, as long as we're transparent, as long as we report what we're doing.
That, Phil, you read the charter, thank you.
I did read the
I
charter.
sent it to him and he read it, and he just said Article 4.
That's what, that's what it says. So this is straight on, and I think the example of the work that the county, which is also a development corp, is a good one. And if you want to nerd out on it, you can look at all kinds of communities within New York State. Saratoga Springs, for example, is enormously active in supporting business through different kinds of loan and bond and funding programs. And the other bit of it is it actually works. It does make a difference. It does become, over time, if you stay the course, transformative in terms of what people can get out of being in a community.
I think it's a great idea. I think it also, I like the idea that it connects us with the entrepreneurial aspect or the community at large, and also that it is a baby step in developing your better credit, and that is helpful in the future of business, to have good credit to go to a real bank when you need to and you can, and you're able to get a loan. So
Also
I like the
financial
idea.
literacy.
Yes,
People don't even know what a lot of this stuff is.
Yeah, no,
and
I think it's a good.
They do go to a credit card and they do get in trouble.
Thank you, John. Thank you. So we'll continue to flesh that out a little bit more, and we would have to determine what the criteria are for people who could apply. The usual loan, the loan language of, who do we want to serve, and we'll maybe talk about that at our next board meeting. Okay. Any questions further? Okay. So the last two things on our agenda are the strategic initiative, which we voted to pursue. Nathan McLaughlin came and met with us, and as he was going to do two things for us, the ABO filing piece and also the strategic facilitation of meetings with the board to flesh out ideas for where our strategic plan would end up looking like. We all said we wanted to have a living strategic plan, which is something that you have to renew every year and you use during the course of the year to direct your work. And, he is encouraging, he couldn't do the ABO part, but he's very enthusiastic about pursuing these meetings with us to do our strategic plan. The way it goes is he has 4 meetings, 2-hour meetings, 4 2-hour meetings, so it's 8 hours of work. He suggests the first meeting is like what many of you know is a blue sky session, which anything you say you want to be thinking about goes up on the whiteboard and, or in the notes. And no idea, we used to call it in advertising, blue sky session, let's fry cotton balls. Oh no, that won't work. So it's just anything that occurs in your head that you think HDC should be doing or should not be doing. And then he will take those notes away. And the second meeting would be, he has summarized our thinking and we vote on what should stay, what should go from his summarization. And then the third meeting is, comes back with what we said in that meeting. And then it's sort of narrowing itself down to the last meeting, which is where he presents a strategic plan as he has written it up. And we would then at that time be able to still edit that. So if we don't agree with what the plan looks like or feels like in that last meeting, we could continue to revise it. But he thinks it should take us 4 meetings. He thinks it's a really good exercise for us to do before we have a new executive director, because that will pattern the course of action for that person. And so while this is going on, we'll be, of course, creating a job description for that person. And so hopefully when we get to the plan, we'll be ready to go and find our next director. So his schedule allows for, I know it's the summer, and I know, we're all busy and we have things to do, but he's proposing Monday, July 10th, he could do in the day or the evening, or July 13th in the day only. And we have to decide if morning is best for us or at the end of the day. I don't know. How do you all as working individuals want to proceed?
Either is fine.
Morning?
Either is fine.
I
Okay.
like morning.
Morning?
Evening works better for me.
Okay.
Either.
Either? Okay. Okay, does anyone have their calendar with them?
Just two.
Huh?
That's a Monday and a Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, mine is the same as that.
Amazing.
So let's try for July 10th in the morning. Does that work?
And morning, can we do what time? I just have a 9 AM camp drop.
Camp drop, okay. Yeah, well, we can do 10. Is that good?
Is that still considered morning for people or is that?
It's morning.
Yeah.
What are you, a musician? She's like.
That's the beginning of the morning.
I know, that's my morning, but a lot of people are like, oh, 10 AM is no longer morning, but yeah, 10 would be
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right, so if we could all try to be at these meetings, I know things come up, but it's important for us to work as a board on this too, and it helps you to go the whole process. Empowers you to be on the same page with your fellow board members. So let's say July 10th at 10 a.m. and at a location to be determined. And then he'd like us to set up the second one if we can, and because he's going on vacation after that for a week or two.
As long as it's convenient.
I know. July 31st in the day or evening. You want to try an evening one? Evening could be like, 5 to 7.
Could we look at August 3rd?
Yeah.
Because that's an option, right?
Yeah,
And
either
what
one
day
of
the
those.
week is that? Is that a Thursday?
It's
That's a Thursday.
That works a lot better for me.
in the day only. Okay, so 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, on August 3rd. So I'll confirm those times with him. In the meantime, you should all be giving some thinking to things that you've had in your head that you haven't been able to share in our regular meetings.
How long do we think these meetings?
2 hours.
2 hours.
So it'll be the morning and we'll have food for the meeting. So Nick doesn't have to eat 13 Jolly Ranchers.
Chris, a thought,
Yeah,
just top of head and maybe not useful. I'm sure that you and the executive committee are going to be working to support Nathan through the process and help him do the planning.
mhm,
But the whole issue of feasibility in terms of scoring ideas, that at some point you got to get past it's a terrific idea and say, how do we fund it? Do we have the organizational bandwidth and staff to support it and so on? we all have had the pleasure, and I mean that a little bit sarcastically, of comings and goings of executive director. And a lot of that has fallen on you, a little bit on me, and so on. I'm thinking some point in this process, we ask other folks on the board to step up and work directly with Nathan on things like feasibility and other technical elements and resourcing and what the implications are for board resources. And it can't all just keep on coming back on you,
Thank you. Thank you.
just saying.
Thank you.
So however you want to do it, but I would love to see a couple more folks jump in on this and work closely with Nathan
Mhm.
and fill in some of the stuff so that the workload's a little more distributed.
And the members of the board can, before these meetings, which I started doing, find some strategic plans online that that other entities have posted and review, just get a feeling for the format of it. Ones that you think are what he calls a living strategic plan, which is not just a procedural handbook. It's more of a encouraging document that lets you think about ways to keep moving forward. So just research a little bit and see what you like. And
Would this be generic strategic plans or specifically strategic?
I looked at cultural institutions, what their strategic plans are, and then I looked at some that are in the ABO world, like Saratoga and something like that. And, I think it's just a matter of the format and the language that you can help apply to us that is really helpful, I think, instead of just starting from scratch.
Should we try to all look at similar ones so we can say like pros and cons of ones that we've seen, or?
I can maybe see if I can send a couple around that we could all have a comment.
Interesting to look at a couple templates. and see
Yeah,
what
he
other
did. He
folks
did.
do.
He sent me two.
Yeah. Who are also local development corps.
Yeah. So maybe we'll put 2 or 3 together, links to them, and then send it around to everybody so you can have the same language. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay. Any other questions about the strategic plan or the meetings or anything like that? If not, we'll move on to the flogging of the ABO training aspect of the meeting. There's 2 more dates this July 12th and 19th. Everyone has to take the ABO training. It's 2 hours. These sessions fill up because they're mandatory. And
Once every 3 years.
once every 3 years, and many of you have taken it and sent me your certification that you've taken it. If you haven't, please do it and send me when they send you a thank you note, which is your certification, just forward it to me. The next board meeting would be, the board will be meeting on July 10th for our 2-hour strategy meeting, but the next official board meeting, generally speaking, we take August board meeting off. We don't do an August board meeting. Last year, we didn't do July because there was too much COVID and I was really sick or August. So July 25th, I think is the Tuesday, 3rd Tuesday. So is that good for putting on your calendar? Okay. And we are, with Julie's help, getting better at some of our formulaic things that should be second nature to us, that are posting the notice of the meeting 5 days before on our website, and also posting the minutes, live streaming the minutes, and bios. We need bios from everyone. So, and Pete, thank you. Tom?
I suggest that there's a document to be voted on, should that be posted?
That the what? That the what?
If there's a document.
Sure.
Because I don't think we should be voting on this just on.
Oh, okay.
circulating.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Okay. And all of you fill out that form and put it in that envelope. That's the folder. So with that, unless there's any other business, Carol, do you want to ask a question or?
I do have a question that's totally unrelated to anything that's been discussed today. But back when you were still planning to sell the Kev warehouse,
Wow.
building.
Mhm.
There were other properties that you were talking about getting rid of, and one of them was a needle, described as a needle of land somewhere near the Ferrari Boat Club, near the dog park, near, in that area of the city. Was it ever determined exactly where that?
It even stymied the title companies. And I just happened to be up at the county records one day and I heard the title company person complaining to another that she had this person parcel that they were trying to find out. And I just happened to be standing there.
And it was
This
your
is
question.
So like on the tax maps, it does in fact look like a needle, but if you read like the meets and bounds, it really looks more rectangular. So we're still trying to figure that out.
Sounds like it's probably been encroached from all
That's
sides.
what
Yeah, thank you.
Perhaps
Just
maybe there was
remembering.
something to do with some landfill in the water or something.
Somebody put a fence post where it didn't belong.
Sounds like it.
Well, other than that, all of the other properties have
Yeah,
been,
we just have the three parcels that are, as we say, pretty much underwater.
literally,
That's for the oyster
The
farm.
14 acres in the river.
That's for the
Yes.
oyster farm.
The oyster farm.
Oyster farm, yeah.
We need a partner.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Sure, why not?
Okay, so just to circle back, does anyone have any questions on the Paris report that are significant?
I made a couple of notes.
Okay, thank you. And,
So do we want to table a vote on that
Yes.
until everyone has? I think
okay,
that's what
okay.
we heard.
I thought we had to
well,
file
we have
by
to file it
Friday.
by the 30th of June if we don't want to be in
Yeah.
arrears.
I think subject to whatever Martha's notes were, because I trust Martha.
We
I
all-
just circled Paul Barrett was listed as a chair, and we listed no outstanding loans in 2022, but it states elsewhere that we retired. the
We
two
retired one,
current
yeah, okay,
That's
yeah,
it.
okay.
Chairman, should we see what happens, take a vote on this?
Yes,
If we can
let's
move
do
it
that.
forward?
I
Because
would
it'd be
really like to
nice
get-
to be in compliance with the
I know,
target date.
because I don't want to be on the bad,
So I would move that subject to those notes, that it be, that we
Okay.
let you guys file.
okay,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
any
Opposed?
opposed?
Tom, let the record show Tom
The ayes have
opposed.
it.
Okay, thank you very much. So I need to call the meeting to a motion to adjourn. Paul, first, second. Mr. Friedman.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
He's on, yes, I'm out of here. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your service.
So, we have,
Put your forms in that folder.
yeah. So these are the only 2 days that we have coming up, 12 and 19?
We're good, Johnson.
They should be doing this every day. They have a little organization.
It fits into his calendar.
Like,
It fits into his calendar.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm talking about the ADO training.
Oh, no, those are the only 2 days. For July, then we'll have more in August.
I know you do.
But we had to answer that everyone is taking.
I took mine 3 years ago, and I can't even be sure that it registered.
I'm sorry?
That's actually to not have a
Hey, Pete?
I understand. Thank you for pointing that out. Tom, did you find anything you didn't think was right? Oh, everyone else did.
Yeah, but it's something that's there and I want to do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.